Hey guys, this is Megan with Left in Knots, and today I'm going to show you how to start a project in the round with the magic circle. This technique is used when you're working in the round from the top down on something. My double crochet beanie my double crochet hat in 10 sizes uses this method. My mitten patterns use this method. It gives a really nice clean top of a project with a really nice tight closure, without any wrinkles and without any extra chain stitches that you might be working into. So this is going to be a left-handed tutorial, and I will do my very best to show you step by step. This is something that is just going to feel clumsy at first, but I promise if you keep trying and you keep practicing, once you get it, you will get the feel for it, and it is so useful. So I'm going to take my yarn, and I've just got a 5.5 millimeter crochet hook. Just use whatever your pattern calls for. I like to rest the yarn across my first two fingers and hold it here with my thumb. Then loop it around these two fingers and cross it in the front, or on the top of my fingers, I should say. So you want the working end of your yarn, this is the working end, this will be the tail. You want the working end of your yarn to cross over on top, at the top of your fingers. And then I hold the slack with these two fingers here. Again, this is something you need to get the feel for. Everybody does it their own way, but essentially the process is the same. So now you're going to take your hook, insert it under that X, grab your working yarn, and pull it under the cross of that X. And then immediately, now that you've got this one loop on your hook, you're going to take your hook again, grab your working yarn, and pull it through that loop, and then pull tight. Once you pull tight, you've got a little bit more security. In fact, I can relax this whole hand and let go, and I just want to hold this loosely knotted portion here with my fingers until I get a few stitches in there. Now you're going to start exactly like you would if you were working into chain stitches or working into a crocheted loop. You're going to start, I'll do double crochet stitches, so I'm going to chain 2. You can also transfer that knotted portion to your other hand if that's easier. Oh. Chain 2. And now yarn over. And then this one strand of yarn is essentially the quote-unquote stitches that you'll be working into. So pretend that this is a stitch that you're going into, this big circle. Pull up a loop. Remember, this is double crochet, so yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now that you've got one stitch in there, you're good. You can relax a little bit. So yarn over, insert into your stitch, which is this one strand of yarn, your magic circle. Pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. So I'm going to do a few more of those. The more and more you do, the less fearful you have to become of this falling out. At this point, it really will not fall out. You do want to make sure you leave yourself a nice long tail. When I first started crocheting, I had something against leaving long tails because I thought it was wasting yarn, but there are certain situations where you just need to leave a long tail. This is one of them. Because if you don't, then it can slip through the stitches the other way. But as long as it's nice and long, it's not going to do that. I don't know how many stitches I've done here. Now let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'll do 10 total. 8, 9, 10. So now that I've got my 10 stitches, so again, you'd be following whatever the pattern that you're making says to follow. A lot of my double crochet hats start with 10 or 11 stitches depending on the size that you're making. I always like to pull up a nice long loop there just so that this doesn't pull out while I take my hook out. And then here's the magic part of the magic circle. You take this tail and you pull. And that gives you that really nice, tight, circular closure. Again, used at the top of hats, tops of mittens, bottoms of baskets, and then you continue working in the round like you would any other project where you work in the round. You see my chain 2 and then my first stitch. Slip stitch there to join, and then just continue your pattern as it is written. One other technique I'd like to show you with the magic circle is if you're working with a yarn that has some sheen or shine to it, sometimes when you give it that last pull, it doesn't want to stay tight because the yarn is actually kind of slippery. And so what you can do to prevent that is, instead of just wrapping around once around your fingers at the beginning, you can wrap twice. And then everything from that point on is the same. You still cross over. Use your hook to pull it under. Yarn over and pull through that loop and tight. Pull tight. But now when you get to this part, I'll chain 2 again here. Instead of working around one strand of yarn as your pseudo stitch, you're going to be working around both of these. So that just means yarn over, and you're still inserting your hook into this big circle here, but under 2 strands of yarn instead. Pull up a loop, yarn over, and do your double crochet. And you're going to do those double crochet stitches around, again, just going under those 2 strands of yarn instead of just one. And then when you get your desired number of stitches, I'll just do a few more here. Now when you decide to tighten it, you're going to get your tail. It'll be a little bit twisted in those other strands. You just want to free up your tail here. So there it is. Pull that nice loop up through so you don't lose this loop. And then you're going to pull to tighten a couple times. The first time you're going to tighten, you're going to pull so that your extra strand tightens up first, if that makes sense, like that. And then you're going to pull your tail to tighten up that second strand. And then when you pull tight, seriously, that's not, the magic circle's not going anywhere. It's, it's stuck. So again, same idea. You can just join with a slip stitch to the beginning of your round and continue working in rounds. But for real, this isn't going anywhere. And that, like I said, is particularly helpful for yarns that have some sheen or shine to them, or are just kind of slippery in general. Or if you just really want to be sure that that top hole stays nice and tightly shut. So that is the magic circle left-handed tutorial. I hope that you found it helpful. Please feel free to refer back to it anytime for any pattern that refers to it. Magic circle, magic ring, this is what they're talking about. You can find a lot of free patterns and more tutorials on my website, www.leftinknots.com, including my double crochet hat in 10 sizes, my perfect fit mittens, and my warm woolish mittens, all which use this kind of a start. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.